ancient land of Moab, a young woman named Ruth lives with her husband, a man from Israel. Ruth is spirited and kind-hearted, always helping others and bringing joy to her household. However, tragedy strikes when her husband and his brother both fall ill and die, leaving Ruth and her sister-in-law, Orpah, widowed. Their mother-in-law, Naomi, is devastated. Naomi's husband has already passed, and now, with the loss of her sons, she feels completely alone. One evening, under a dark sky, Naomi makes a decision.
I must return to Bethlehem, my homeland. There's nothing left for me here in Moab.
Ruth, determined and loyal, insists on going with her. Orpah, after much deliberation, decides to stay in Moab. But Ruth says, in one of the most famous lines of the Bible,
Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God.
Ruth and Naomi embark on the difficult journey from Moab to Bethlehem, walking through deserts, climbing rocky mountains, and crossing rivers. Along the way, their bond deepens. Ruth, though not originally from Israel, begins to learn more about Naomi's faith, the God of Israel, and finds herself drawn to his ways. They arrive in Bethlehem tired and hungry. The people are surprised to see Naomi return after so many years, especially with a foreign woman by her side. Naomi tells the people to call her Mara now, meaning bitter, as she feels her life has been filled with sorrow. But despite Naomi's sadness, Ruth remains hopeful. Life in Bethlehem isn't easy. Naomi is too old to work, and Ruth, being a foreigner, struggles to find her place in this new land. But Ruth is not the type to sit idly by. She decides to do whatever it takes to provide for her and Naomi. She learns about a local custom. Widows and the poor are allowed to follow behind the harvesters in the fields and pick up any grain that is left behind. Determined to help Naomi, Ruth heads to the fields early in the morning, ready to work hard. In the field, Ruth catches the eye of Boaz, the owner of the land. Boaz is a wealthy and respected man, but also kind and fair. He's intrigued by Ruth's dedication and work ethic. He asks his workers about her, and they tell him she's the Moabite woman who came with Naomi. Boaz approaches Ruth, speaking kindly to her.
I've heard about everything you've done for Naomi. May the Lord repay you for your kindness.
Ruth is taken aback by Boaz's generosity. He tells her to stay in his fields, where she will be safe and well treated, and instructs his workers to leave extra grain for her to gather. Ruth, humbled and grateful, works diligently, knowing that God's providence has led her to this moment.
Whose field did you work in today? It's Boaz's field.
Naomi's eyes light up with hope. Naomi explains that Boaz is a kinsman-redeemer. In Israelite law, a kinsman-redeemer is a relative who can marry a widow to preserve her deceased husband's family line. Naomi begins to formulate a plan, believing that Boaz could be the answer to their prayers. One night, during the barley harvest, Naomi advises Ruth to approach Boaz while he's working late at the threshing floor. Following Naomi's instructions, Ruth washes, puts on her best clothes, and goes to Boaz quietly after he finishes his meal. She lies down at his feet, a traditional gesture showing respect and asking for his protection as a redeemer. When Boaz wakes up and finds Ruth at his feet, he's surprised but impressed by her bravery. Ruth tells him she's seeking his protection, and Boaz, moved by her faith and loyalty, agrees to help her. But there's a twist. There's another relative who has a stronger claim as the kinsman-redeemer. The next morning, Boaz goes to the town gate, where important business is conducted. He calls the other relative, explains the situation, and offers him the chance to redeem Ruth and Naomi's family land. However, the other relative hesitates. He's not willing to take on the responsibility of marrying Ruth. Boaz seizes the opportunity. In front of witnesses, he legally declares his intent to redeem Ruth and marry her, ensuring that Naomi's family line will continue. Ruth and Boaz are married in a joyful ceremony. The people of Bethlehem celebrate, knowing that Ruth, the foreigner from Moab, has found a place among them through her faith, courage, and loyalty. Naomi, who once thought her life was over, now holds her head high, filled with joy and gratitude. Soon, Ruth and Boaz have a son, whom they name Obed. Naomi helps care for the child, and her heart is filled with happiness again. The story of Ruth doesn't end with her own personal happiness. Her son, Obed, becomes the father of Jesse, who is the father of David, the greatest king of Israel. Ruth, once a foreigner and widow, becomes a key figure in the lineage that leads to the birth of Jesus Christ many generations later. Through Ruth's faith and dedication, God's greater plan is revealed. Her loyalty to Naomi and her unwavering trust in God's providence lead to blessings not just for herself, but for the entire nation of Israel.